Almighty God, you have blessed us with memory, reason, and skill. Help us to use them wisely in the service of our town government. We ask this in thy holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Salute the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. Calvin, you have anything for us in public?
Just a quick question, any progress on the marking the multi-purpose trail on the Prospect Hill Road there? We're supposed to be putting up some markers along the side of the road, by the golf course.
No, I have no news on that. I do have news on, we've acquired through the county 4 benches. They're pretty heavy ones, you won't walk away with them, I'll tell you that. And they're deciding now where they're gonna put them. I believe 2 are gonna be within the township, and I believe 2 are gonna be within the village. Am I right on that, Clark? Do you know that?
I've had conversation with Alan, and he and I've talked informally about that. His biggest concern is safety in
Yes.
terms of being stolen.
Yes.
We talked about a couple of, maybe I thought were good locations, but I'm taking the point of view that it's Alan's call. I got some ideas on it, but if he feels that the bench should be put there rather than here,
It's okay.
I don't think he's going to secure them to the ground, so if we decide to change, we could.
I think, Calvin, you're referring to along the golf course road,
Right,
where they had talked about putting,
Delineators or something?
is that what you call them?
Yeah.
Every so many feet apart. They were quite expensive though. And the ones that they were looking at, they wanted, like, put them up in the spring and take them down in the fall. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
We're talking about the candlestick cones?
yeah, the
Yeah.
candlesticks.
That's what they call
it.
them, they look like candlesticks.
yeah, whatever, I know last fall, everybody's all excited about getting it done, but
Yeah,
here we are, it's summer again, or,
well,
The best solution we came up with last year was to have a double white line on the one side, and when you could see it, I thought it was an effective way to start. Now, how far you can go with that?
they did stripe it though, didn't they, last year?
They did stripe it.
Right.
I haven't been over it once maybe, but I hadn't noticed if the stripe is still visible. Is it pretty?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'll look into that, Calvin, to see. I'm sure it's gonna boil down to dollars and cents, and I guess you can't put a dollar value on safety though, can you?
no,
That's, I
some,
understand that.
somebody gets hit,
Yeah.
what's a dollar? Dollar ain't gonna bring them back, or get them out of that wheelchair or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with you. Anything else? That's pretty much it? Okay. I would like a motion to approve the minutes of May 14th. Our regular monthly board meeting, last one. Please read it, very interesting. We'll have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Thank you.
minutes of May 14th.
I need a second.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. You have your town clerk's monthly report. I do need a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the town clerk's
I'll
monthly
second.
report.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any questions on the town clerk's monthly report?
Is that an unusually high number of building
It is.
permits?
Seems higher than normal, right now.
Well, we had one permit $5,000 for the cell tower.
For the,
Cell tower,
And we have a new
Top
cell
road.
tower going up on the Matat Road,
okay.
okay?
and the permit was 5,000 alone.
Do you know, is that a yearly, or is that a,
No, just one
It's a
time.
one-time.
it's a building permit, okay, okay? Any other questions, concerns? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's also carried. You have your JCO monthly report, a lot of activity, please read those. Strictly for information. You have your zoning board of appeals monthly report, very interesting, please do read them. Okay, you see what's going on around town. They are approved by their boards, they do not need our approval, they're only for information. We have a letter from Charter Communication. Locally known as Spectrum is making its customers aware that on around May 24th, Olympustat, how do you pronounce it?
Lumpestat.
What is it?
Lumpestat.
Olympustat will cease transmission of the Hillsong channel located in an expanded base standard tier.
Yep.
Yes, they're giving us service probably for the same money.
I have no idea, I have never heard of or never seen.
It's a Christian. Yep.
Okay, strictly for information. Okay, on the desk tonight, a lot of stuff on the desk that came in yesterday and today. I got a letter yesterday from a company called Lease Advisors.
Lease advisors?
Lease Advisors.
Lease
You want to make
advisors.
copies, Larry?
Well, no, you can, but if anybody wants, I do have copies. The secretary of mine is on the wall.
Could have been the deputy supervisor
Yeah.
yesterday, right?
There's two there, Jason. There's two there. I'll give you mine after, if you want.
Sure, and then you can keep it.
If you are a property owner, public entity, or water district with a water tower structure, you could be sitting on a gold mine, it says right here. They're looking, this company apparently looks for people to lease space on water towers. And it tells you there, some big contracts have gone out. I did not call this guy back, I got this yesterday. It was mailed on it was written on the 28th of May, but it was postmarked on the 5th of June, just got it. Is this something you would like me to respond to and look into? Pardon?
I just had a wonderful idea.
I'm listening.
Yeah, I just came to my mind, I have no idea if it's a fly or not. If the use of one of the water towers is money generating,
Yes,
is there any strong rationale for that money that would come in, would go into a water account? I don't see it going into an EDU account, or maybe water administration, and thereby making it available for expenses in having to do with.
I have no clue what the legalities would be, if it would have to be used for the water district, or if it could put it into general fund,
Well,
okay?
Okay, but
Well, the first thing is to find out if it's viable.
Well,
Right.
and I'd also wanna see like an analysis done in terms of like other municipalities that have gone through with this,
Yes.
and what has their research shown?
right,
Are there drawbacks to this? I don't know.
right.
I
What is the going rate for remuneration if we do get involved?
Right.
But
What-
the good thing is they'll, right now, it's just investigative
Right,
and it doesn't cost us anything.
that's correct,
So let's find out if there's any money before we start discussing,
right.
what to do with it and anything. I mean, sounds good, and they probably have more sites, Border Patrol, phone companies, the railroad, who knows? We've got 2 different water towers.
The water too has towers and cameras.
Yeah,
And
I
can
didn't want
we
to.
just talk about, did you just say that there was a permit that was issued for a cell tower erection?
Yes,
Yeah, the top.
Verizon, I believe it is.
5,000.
On the top, you know where the top road is, off the Ridge Road? Okay,
So I don't know if, would that impact the viability of this, or if there's,
Nah.
you don't think
that
so?
one's going on private,
They want more, they just
Think
want
so.
more power, more signal, more.
that particular tower is going on private property. Okay? They have a lease or something like that, I don't know what the deals of lease are. Okay,
I'd say we gather information first, but I'd also wanna see, you know, what our, legal services recommends, because I don't know what it does in terms of ownership, once you, I don't know.
Well, I think what I'd like to do, I'll give the guy a call, if it's okay, and I'll ask, you got any towns that do this within 100 miles of us, and see if we can make a phone call and visit or
Right.
something, okay? Okay, there's no objections, I will look into that. I got a letter here from JCO requesting additional funds. We don't normally get these this time of year, we normally get these, these normally come through at budget time. Okay. It would be my recommendation to take a look at this at budget.
Well, you're only talking 3-4 months from now before the budget process starts. You're not talking, you know, large weight.
Okay.
And at most, if we did grant it, it would only be 6 months from now, so.
Well, what, if we're getting a strong recommendation for somebody to consider this, I would ask the question, why would we wait? I know this came to us last fall, and the statement was made, it's a little bit late to include it in the budget, so it was, I thought, put off at that point. I have heard some outstanding feedback about this person from the people who work in the village office, which is where this person's office is. And I think at least it's worthwhile checking to see what other JCEO organizations pay the employees, see how this person fits into
Well,
that.
this person is not our employee now,
I know that,
she's a JCO employee.
correct.
And we have increased their, our contribution to JCO by 2-3% every year, whatever percentage everybody else got, okay?
Well,
I think it's a well worth effort to at least look into it. You know, we haven't budgeted any extra money for that this year. I certainly could look at it in the budget, I don't know what else. to
Yeah,
do.
but budget time is 3 months away, basically. You know, I mean, by the time we get any information on what the other towns are paying, it's gonna be set for budget. And I really hate precedent, once we do that.
Well, I don't know if we've ever adjusted salaries during the middle of the year.
Yeah, it's just not a good idea, because, you know, someone else may have wanted to apply for the job, and they didn't, because they didn't pay this much. And then we need to look and, what are we basing this on? You know, how come you're doing it for this specific one individual that, I'm not saying they're not worthy of it, it's just, for the amount of months, you're only talking a few months here. At the maximum, you're talking 6 months, at the under 6 months. So, you know, at that time, if we feel a bigger increase is necessary, in less than 6 months, they'd be getting it.
what additional support would you seek to attempt to justify any change?
Well, I think Larry was saying what the other, or you were saying what the other JCEOs do for comparable salaries. So that would be one thing you might want to consider, and then the other thing is, you know, ask.
Well, I don't know that we can directly pay her anyways.
No.
We contribute to JC headquarters in Plattsburgh on a once-a-year basis. I think we pay it semi-annually, twice a year. We pay our JCO budget to the JCO. They hire her. Okay, she is their employee. Okay,
Mhm.
now if we made an extra contribution next year of $1,000 or $2,000 or something, could we request that increase go to her? I don't know that, okay?
Yeah, that would be something good to find out,
Yes.
too. That's another thing.
Okay.
And I'd like to know what she's receiving now, when they talk about a raise on top of the cost of living, I
Well,
don't
she-
know where that amount is now.
Right, I don't even know where she's at right now.
I'd like to know where she is now, and then also get an idea in terms of what the CPI looks like locally, you know.
But she, I believe it's only half a day, clerk? It's a half a day position?
I'm not sure. I
I'm
can
pretty
find
certain
out.
it's a half a day position, it's not a full-time job. I do not believe it's open full-time.
Well, definitely, I think warrants looking into.
Okay, we will do that. If that's okay. I had a visitor, Dave Marshall, a couple weeks ago pertaining to the Ridge Runner shooting club up on Castine Road, pertaining to a corrective deed. And just a matter of a few feet. Am I correct, Brian? You wanna
Yeah.
chime in on this one?
No, well, basically, it's right, it was surveyed
Okay.
and,
You wanted me to sign off on it, I said, no, we have to, I called Matt Favreau. He sent the information down to Matt Favreau. Matt Favreau stopped by yesterday, Brian was here at the time, and he sees absolutely no problem with signing a corrected deed. I do need permission, if it's the desire of the board, to approve a corrected deed, which is the recommendation of our attorney.
I make a motion that we approve the correction of deed in regards to the correspondence dated May 31st.
and the pins were set,
Yes.
according to this diagram. The corrected deed, it was surveyed to be that distance,
And there's no cost to us for the survey,
and they're paying for all costs.
I pay for the survey cost,
That's all.
a little over $2,000. And actually what Matt told us yesterday, it takes some liability off us, Brian.
Yes, because
Okay.
the border patrol apparently was using that as part of the range, and that's, I believe, how it came to light. The
Yes.
border patrol said, wait a minute, this is not the land you claim it is. You know, we looked it up, and the land you claim is yours is actually part of the town, so Dave Marshall looked it up, the attorney, and for them, and he goes, yeah, it was surveyed, the pins are set here, but the deed only goes to here,
Yes.
so.
I was surprised to see the number of members within the side of the town of Champlain.
Oh,
I didn't think it was that large.
100 something?
118.
118, yeah. Oh, it is, yeah. Over 100. So, I guess I need a motion to approve that,
Is
right?
that a motion you
I
said?
made a
I have a
motion.
motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, specifically,
Do I
what
need a second?
changes occurred? How is this altering their ownership of land?
At the bottom, element on 3.4 up above,
It's right in the middle, Clark.
yeah,
Yes,
right there.
right, 3.4 becomes,
It's at the top part of that actual rectangle, if you wanna call it that.
rectangle height. How does it affect the boundary line? Obviously must make it larger, correct? Where does the change occur, so I can see what parcel is being changed, besides theirs getting bigger?
5.5, that triangle right there.
Yes.
5.5, the rectangle,
Yeah.
so is adding that to the 3.4.
No, it's just, there's a line you can see right adjacent to it, to the right of it. That's the corrected line. But the whole point was to even out the boundary line. So you're looking at the 5.5, go over about half an inch or 3/4 of an inch at the end of it,
Yeah.
and you'll see the line right there.
The line right there,
Okay, here, let me just give you.
this is an example of why I object to being given something
Well,
2
no,
minutes before I'm gonna ask to
actually,
vote on it, and it,
No, Clark,
you know, I'm
actually, it was
concerned
the
about
reg-
who owns other lands around here, that's important.
It lists it right here. The Rush, the names are all right on the property owner, but it's right here, that's all. See how it evens out the property line?
So it's gonna extend this line here
Right, that's it,
to where?
right to the edge, right there. That's a town road. And that's it, that's all it does,
Who owns this parcel, town?
the town, yes. And that's it, I mean, it's, unfortunately, it was in color, just to justify, it was in color, and it was better explanation in color, however, we're limited in the number of color copies we can use, so it came out printed in black and white, which would have, the red would have made it more reasonable. But all the property owners are listed around it.
But in this case, it's affecting the
Property owners were
town
notified
property,
of the
correct?
change?
Right.
Have the property owners, like for example McCormick, have they been notified of the change, or is that appropriate or not?
Well, it's already being used for the current property use. It's already being used. It's just everybody thought that the deed had been filed correctly. The trouble was the Border Patrol, in order, I guess, to sign another contract with them, they researched and they found out that what was filed as a deed wasn't what was done. The pins were set properly, you know, it's just, when you file the deed, instead of saying 440 feet, it was 400. Yeah. And that's all it's doing, and the only people it affects is the town, that's town property right there. We own the road, and in fact, they have to have an easement for that road.
And there is an easement in there, Matt
And there's
Farrell
an
told us
easement.
that
I
yesterday.
do have a copy of that if anybody's looking for it.
I certainly don't understand maps that well. I don't think most of us do. We're not attorneys or, it is on the recommendation that this is the proper thing to do from our attorney. It takes the liability off from us on that particular piece.
Yeah, because they're using the town property now for that, for the Border Patrol, so it would behoove us to have the liability on the shooting range rather than us.
Do you know if there'll be a new official deed map
They
Yeah.
drawn up?
Yeah, oh yeah, they'll have to record.
So then,
it.
so rather than that, sure.
And it doesn't affect any adjacent property owners, it's all on current town property. It's just a question of whether we want the liability. And we don't, really, I don't think. And it was the Border Patrol who used the range consistently, were the ones who did the research and found out that they were using property that really was town, and they wanted to make sure it got straightened out. That's how it came to light. So, we wanna keep the US government happy.
Okay, upon the recommendation of our attorney, we will approve a corrected deed. I would like approval, I'd like a motion to do so.
Rick made.
The motion was made, so I
Motion
think we're
made.
just looking for
Was there a second?
No,
No second. May I have a second somewhere, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
I'll request a roll call vote.
We will do that. We'll have a roll call vote. Rick?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Clark?
No,
Jason?
Aye.
And aye for myself, 4-1. Thank you. Okay. You have your dog control officer's report, monthly report on your desk tonight. Just for information only, we had a request recently, and it's on your desk tonight, a water application to turn off or turn on water
Yes.
from the resident.
It's currently in our law, and we
Yes.
currently do it, but the form is kind of outdated and antiquated.
Some people said they didn't know it, that they had to pay. I guess we want, it's requested that we put this type of form in each next water bill. So
Good, yeah.
people will be aware of it, okay? I don't know if we need approval.
Well, it's just for, people to
Yeah.
find mistakes, like,
Okay, it
I
was, when it was approved way back, I have no clue.
I have it here, somewhere,
Doesn't
right
matter.
here.
It's on the books.
It went into the town law books July 1st, 2017.
Okay, thank you.
I have a copy of the law.
Where that came
Anybody wants
about,
to see it.
Recently, in the past couple of weeks, somebody had their water turned off, wanted it turned back on,
so each time it's turned off, it's 25, and it's turned back on, it's 25.
We normally do that ourselves. The village can do it if we request them to. We gotta pay them, so. Mickey usually does this. Okay. You have a concern?
I think this is helpful in clearing thing up, procedure up, but
Yeah.
I think maybe this raises a broader issue. And my question is, do we have a policy manual for the running of the water and sewer districts? Do we have a published set of procedures? For example, someone wants to put in a new service. Is it the policy of the town that the town will be responsible for installation of the water line from the hook up to the line, up to what's called the shut off or the curb cut?
Yes,
That's the responsibility of the town.
no. In the new water district, under the new project, any new hook,
And I'm talking about going forward,
No.
going forward. If a new,
well, we've already got a couple of requests.
okay, but
Um,
in terms of maintenance, do we have a stated written policy of the maintenance of the services? The line from the main to the shut-off is the municipality's responsibility. From the shut-off to the house is the owner's responsibility. Do we have it in a policy manual, my question?
I can double check, we do have a whole section.
I'm not
Okay.
familiar with
Yeah, I know right
For
where it is.
instance, on the Dubois Road, we hooked up some people to the water line before this project. They had to pay for the hookup,
Yeah,
okay?
correct. We probably have been doing something consistent,
Okay.
but do we
Now-
have a stated policy manual? Almost like a contract we would have with the guys that work out in the garage.
I got two people that did not want the water, when the survey was originally taken 2, 3 years ago, to be hooked up with the new project. Now they want the water. It's a different issue. One is probably 300 feet off the road, another one's probably 30 feet off the road. I had a person in here today, the water project paid District 6 to put the water into his cellar, but he's not using the water. He's not taking the water, but it costs us to put it in there. Now he's asking, what have I gotta do to get water? Well, you gotta get a meter installed, and you gotta put a flow preventer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to do,
There's a bunch of issues that come up.
okay?
What is our policy on this, so that we're consistent?
If you're not,
Do we have such a,
if you're not part of the original new water district, people in the past had to pay the hookup. I have a person on the Ridge Road that wants to get hooked up, did not want it, his well's going dry or whatever, and he knows it's his responsibility.
Right. And that was basically the way the project was funded. If you took it now,
Yes,
we paid for running it to your house. After the project was completed, you were responsible for running to the town line, to the shut-off.
to the shut-off, or to the town line, or both?
Well, I mean, the
My
town
point,
shut,
my
the shut-off.
point is, we don't have a definitive statement in place.
Well, we
we're-
may,
we're- We need one. If we
I-
have one, great. If we don't, we better
We,
find one.
we might, I mean, I don't wanna stop the board meeting to go in there
No.
and look, I know exactly where to look, but I don't wanna start paging through it, because this is for future, you know, we can know by the next board meeting, it's not gonna change anything. We can just check and see.
I wish the person who initiated this question, in my mind, was here tonight. But somebody has pushed this to, what is our policy on these things? And
Well, the
the
understanding,
person works for the town, and I think that almost there's a gap here of understanding. And maybe the gap is with me, I don't understand it. So we need to have some regulations stated. And maybe we have them, maybe we need to put them together in a file, that's all I'm saying.
well, it may already have been done, because it was updated July 1st, 2017. And the understanding was, when we did the grant,
This
that-
has nothing to do with the water project.
no, it does,
No, my point has nothing to do with that, nothing. That's over, hopefully it'll be done soon, it's over, okay?
Mhm.
But from this point forward,
It's the
what
property.
are the ground rules?
It's the
New game.
property owner's responsibility to bring the water line to the town service, which is normally the shut-off. If we don't have a shut-off, then,
It would have to be a shut-off.
well, if we hadn't provided water, there would be no line from the main water line to their house. We wouldn't necessarily have done it. And plus, as Larry was saying, there are people that, you know, maybe adjacent to the water line that, but we can look at it and see what,
I had a person call me that 3 years ago, her husband said, no, we do not want the water. Now they're divorced and she wants the water. So I got an estimate for her. Didn't like it.
Should have made that as part of it.
As you well know, that 3-unit apartment house is being built. The water line is across the road. That's a whole different ballgame. It's across the road. He was in here last week. He hopes to have that apartment house rented by end of the summer, September at the latest. Our engineers tell us, since they are being charged an EDU, they are in the water district, if there's that much money left over at the end of the project, which we're hoping, then we can hook people up that are in the district. We have no guarantee of that. Okay? I had a person call me last week. I believe I spoke to Brian about this one. On Fairbanks Road, you know where it is? Right near the underpass?
Yes.
Okay. This woman, obviously, she told me she was from Chateauguay, Quebec. 3-unit apartment house, wanted to inquire about water. And Mickey was here and I just, give me some idea, there's quite a ways down there in that road, if you know, I don't know if it's a half mile, but it's a good distance, okay? Then I explained to her she had to pay EDUs, it would be 3 EDUs for a 3-unit apartment house that she has there. And she has to pay for water, pretending how much water she uses. She's in Chateauguay, she pays, Chateauguay, Quebec now, she pays a flat fee per month for water. Well, it's not the case here, you pay for what you use here, okay? So she kinda backed away. Somebody told me there's 5 houses down there. With a 3-unit apartment house, that would be 7 or 8 units, but, and I'm told you can't put a small line down there for to feed a fire hydrant, you need an 8-inch line. So I don't see that as being feasible in the near future. Okay, that could be a $500,000 project for 5 or 6 houses.
But a fear I would have would be that, let's say that, using your example, we're able to, quote, work something out, so we have more EDUs, and we have a couple of customers down there.
Yes,
We work it out, we find the money to do it.
we can only find the money,
Yeah, but
if there's any money left at the end of the project, or if our reserve in our water fund is large enough to hook somebody up.
But whatever we do, if we did that,
You gotta be
we
consistent.
better be consistent.
You gotta be consistent.
Because if we do something else 6 months or 6 years later, and we're different, we are,
You open up
between a rock and a hard place.
Correct.
Okay.
And if we have a policy manual or a set of rules and guidelines that we go from, then we fall back on that.
Okay,
That,
so, I can only tell you, I don't know where they're going. As far as the superintendent of highways report, Alan has,
So, does this need approval? No.
Not
Because you
really,
asked that question, does that need approval?
not
No, it's
really.
already in the
Okay.
place.
It's already in use and everything, it's just,
I didn't know if you edited something that requires approval, so that's the only reason I asked.
now we updated it, made
Okay.
it prettier, but,
Alright.
more.
Alan Racine has replaced 2 culverts yesterday on the Rapid Road, getting that ready to pay by the county this summer, whenever they get here. They're certainly on their calendar to do that. They're sweeping, they've pretty well done sweeping the sides of the roads from the sand in the wintertime, and they're starting to mow the lawns, side roads, shoulders of the roads, okay? That's all I have on that.
did Alan share with you the water problem he had up on the Roxham Road?
No. Recently?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember the ditching, you
There was
mentioned it to me,
Apparently, the,
A ditch,
yeah, the ditch,
a while back, I mean, it's not the past day or 2 years.
yeah, right.
Okay, yes.
apparently the Canadian government changed the water flow pattern in the big ditch one between the two countries.
All right.
The for the purpose of putting in a new exit path from Roxham to Quebec from people who are leaving. And in putting in that new bridge over there, water, it blocked flow naturally down that ditch, and now it's coming out people's fields. So Alan had to go up and cut through the parking lot, put a culvert in to divert that
That
into
was-
where it should be.
Yeah, earlier this spring, right?
What's that?
That was earlier this spring, not in the past week.
I was since our last meeting.
Yeah, he did fix it, and
Yes.
he was adamant about doing it.
Yeah. He was talking across the ditches of the other countries.
Julie,
Fortunately, he didn't have to cross over there.
what do you have for us?
The deeds to read.
I'll do the bills first, maybe? Okay.
You got that letter from Linda?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Actually, there's 2 letters.
Pardon?
There's 2 letters from Linda.
Yeah, we got a letter from Melinda Fredette, she's our recreation director. That one is a recommendation for her. First of all, she sent us a letter on intent to retire at the end of the year. Dear Mr. Barcombe, Town Board, please accept this letter as my official notification to retire from my position at the town effective December 31st, 2019. Thank you for the opportunity for personal development that this position has provided me over the years. I've enjoyed working with the children and wonderful staff at the town. While I look forward to enjoying my retirement, I will miss the children and everyone I have worked with. I am sure I will still be present watching my grandchildren participate in this fine youth commission program. Linda Fredette, our intent is to retire at the end of the year. I knew that was coming. I probably knew that last year. The second letter is that she has a recommendation for somebody that I'd like to recommend, Rebecca Fredette, who I've known for 27 years as a candidate for the recreation leader. We will need to talk about this. I don't know if we need to advertise that job or if we can just fill it. I'll have to check that out, but that's not something we need to do now, okay? You got your post audit bills, which have been paid. You need to approve the monthly bills. I got a word in there, but, oh, excuse me, let's go back just one step here. Brian, you wanna speak briefly about the grant that you applied for and was received?
Yes, last month we talked about applying, allowing you to apply for the Perry's Mills Rec Park, some additional recreation equipment. The baseball, softball, putting some surplus wire schools up there for kids to fall on, soccer, baseball, pickleball, and temporary fencing, they have that now. So, the ball doesn't go in the ditch or the woods, and yet you can take it down at the end of the year, and it's relatively inexpensive. It's a glorified snow fence is what I'm calling it. And then just soccer balls, softballs, things like that. So they were willing to give us a grant of $2,179.98. And Sarah was really helpful with that grant. She got it, a lot of it together and stuff. So
There was a quick turnaround on this too, we're only.
yes, there was a quick, the nice thing about dealing with the Clinton County Health Department is 2 weeks, yes or no?
Yes,
Which
I was
is,
really surprised, some takes months sometimes.
as we all
anyways,
know, yeah.
We gave approval last month to apply for it.
Right.
We received it. I certainly want to thank Brian and Sarah, both worked hard on this,
And you've already scheduled this meeting to speak with them?
Tomorrow
Yes,
morning
yeah.
at 9. So
Okay.
tomorrow morning at 9 is the, I guess they want to bring us up to date on what we need to do to fulfill the requirements, and keep them appraised of where we are. They generally want it done the same year you apply for, and it doesn't seem to be a problem because most of this is stuff that we can do in the same year, and it's not expensive, so that's what we were looking to do. So we'll meet with them tomorrow at 9, and if anybody, anybody's welcome to come if they want. I mean, it's just, they said it was roughly 30 minutes just to go over it. And we'll get some more stuff going at the Perry's Mills Recreation Park.
Thank you, Rick. You, Sarah, both for that, Brian.
And thanks to the Clinton County Health Department.
Sarah has reviewed our electric bills. As you, everybody knows, there's what, how many suppliers actually have changed to them? Not in the village, but you probably heard about these.
Sure.
Sarah went back and researched the past several months. And on the third page, you see the current price and the estimated savings. This is guaranteed for 18 months though, okay? I see no reason not to do it, let's put it that way. I think we should, it's a savings. I need some input. You come board, so.
So the only drawback from where we are right now is that we now have an 18-month contract versus no contract, right? So that,
Right.
okay, and that's quite a savings,
And it's quite a
Yes.
savings.
substantial.
I certainly thank her for looking into these things. She's a very
Yeah.
detailed person, I'd say, So I would like a motion to go ahead and do this if it's like the desire of the board. I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't, let's put it that way.
And this is not any kind of connection to solar energy or
No.
any of that other,
No. No.
just the fluctuation, just pay by the month what you actually use?
Right. At some point, we are still looking at the solar option, but
Yeah. Just for information only while we're on the subject of solar, the solar project up near the high school on Robinson Farm has been scaled back.
Oh, it has?
Mickey told me yesterday.
To what degree?
Mickey could explain it better than I could. It has something to do with the new solar plant that went in Moore's. They can only take so much power on the lines in this area, and that limited them for full potential of what they wanted to do up here. And the only way that they could go forward with the whole project is to upgrade the station, not a
The substation?
substation. Okay, it's not big enough to handle both apparently. That's all the information I got. So, they did pay their building fee, so,
yeah, and then they may in the future take advantage of it.
okay. That's, strictly for information. Okay.
But, I mean, this is a short-term, basically a short-term contract, and by the time the solar market settles out a little bit, if we all got those competing
Anyways,
things in the mail, and this is saving us even more, so. If the
Sarah-
solar
Sarah
goes
spent-
down,
Sure.
I think we should.
she spent quite a bit of time on researching this for me. She came to me with it. I see no reason not to do it.
Yeah, and then like the lighting districts that might benefit a little bit too from it, So,
And we have, I'm just guessing, 5 or 6 light bills coming every month for different things.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll make a motion, unless anybody has an objection, that we go with the lower rate and save a few thousand for an 18-month contract with,
We're not breaking any existing contract.
no, we have none right now, none. It was Marathon Energy. And you, as a consumer, are perfectly capable of doing all this on your own. There's nothing that prevents you from going to a dozen, 2 dozen different suppliers of electricity in New York, that you can pick one, doesn't have to be NICEAG. You can pick them and go with them. We're just taking advantage of our larger buying power to get a better rate.
This does not, your transmission rate, the rate that New York State Electric Gas charges you to go over their lines, it stays the same.
Oh, yeah, over half of your bill is
Yes.
charges that don't change no matter who the supplier is.
I did have a motion, I believe.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second this.
Thank you. Any questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried, thank you. I think that's all I got here. I need a motion to approve the monthly bills. I did go over them, I didn't see nothing else extraordinary.
No.
Do I have a motion?
The legal services were for same water with the
Where are you, what page you on?
First page,
First page?
3/4 of the way down.
2/3 of the way down to,
Yeah,
can you tell us what the specific legal services?
I don't have, you got the bill on that one, Jimmy?
It's a voucher.
Is it phone calls, is it visits to the office, is it his presence here, is it pertaining to?
We'll find out in a second. We call him, because he's on, we're on the clock, that's for sure.
Well, it looks like there was a call regarding the ZBA.
No ZBA, that would have been
And
me.
then, some assessment challenges.
Okay.
And then the rest was all about the ridge runners,
Okay.
and about reviewing the deeds and meeting with Dave Marshall and
Okay. Any other questions on the bills?
Oh, on the second page. Water administration. Comments is EDU.
Yeah.
Is that a reimbursement or?
No. We own a lot, a vacant lot, right, Brian? We depend on a vacant lot in the district, in the water district.
So town owns a lot, right?
Mhm.
So we have to pay ourselves. and
Correct.
EDU?
The town general fund has to pay the water district for half of the deal.
That might be a way of getting more money into the EDU fund.
I don't think $56 is gonna make a
Well,
break
it's a
the
start,
project.
it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions?
No.
Got a motion second on that, David? No?
No, we haven't had a motion yet. I'll make a motion that we approve the
Okay, thank you.
bills for dated June 11th, 2019.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
I will also at this time endorse the purchase of the new tractor on page 2. Page
3, yeah.
Page 3. That's a very, very important move in the right direction.
I'm sure that
If I
you
get a chance, I'll come on further.
I'm sure on that cutting path is much different than
Well,
the tractor where that
I
was
wanna-
being used.
I want to give you a little update on that second.
Okay. Any other questions on the bills?
No.
If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Julie, what you got for us?
Water District number 6 disbursement approval number 53 for Jolly Waterworks for $4,550.
That's hookups that were done in houses.
I'll make the motion that we approve expenditure.
I'll second that.
Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. You got more of them?
CCWD Restoration Disbursement Number 11. Ace Hardware for $88.13, Dupree Feed for $4.32, John Cooper for $1,250, Charles Wells for $1,080, and Justin Ducharme for $1,080.
Okay.
I think we already approved one of those. 432 to Dupree. Right?
Where, when?
Didn't you say, was it 432 for seed?
Well, it just says Dupree Feed, but it doesn't.
Was it 432?
Yeah,
Where did we pay that? On the bills yet?
Well, that's about a third of the way down on the first page of the bills.
Well, okay, where are we here?
We're just approving it again, or just,
Okay. What happens here, Art, we pay the bills,
right,
and we're requesting reimbursement from the project to the town budget.
so we're not approving it twice,
No,
but to the tune of 864.
when that money comes back, when these bills go on to Corey Reed, the engineers, he sends them on to the state. We paid like the help for doing the restoration,
Right.
it would be $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, whatever it is. When it's all done, we put a bill in, and we get reimbursed, we put it back into the general fund. It's water fund, I should say. And we pay those out of the water fund. That's why the water fund is what it is. There were reimbursements.
Who's Charles Wells?
He's one of the young guys that works with,
Thank you.
with John Cooper. They're coming really well, another week or two, I think they're gonna pretty well wrap up restoration of the lawns and stuff. Okay. What do you need approval on that
I
one?
need a motion and a second on that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need a motion to approve that one that Julie just read off there.
I make a motion that
Thank
we approve the CCWD number 11 or 10? I can't. 11.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried?
CCWD Restoration Disbursement Number 10, Joint Lime Company for $2,480.08, Noel Burnell for $3,200, and Matt Fabro for $770.
Okay, that is also something that we're paying, and it has to be reimbursed through that was Elegant Coating Paving. One bill was for the actual paving, the other, I believe, was for the material. Okay. Have a motion on that one, Larry? Yeah.
I'll make a motion we approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you.
That's it.
That's it? That's enough. Does anybody else have anything to bring before the board? I believe, Clark?
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to bring everybody up to date on what's going on down at the former hayfield on the 276. Back in May, Kelvin, Sarah Howell, myself, and Alan, along with Josh Howell, met there, and the purpose of our gathering was to try to identify where we thought an approximate location of baseball infields would be, and try to get an idea of what part of that big 12-acre parcel had to be focused on first, what basically grooming that. We came up with a tentative location for both fields, and the design is very similar to what James Mosier of Chazy provided for us free of charge last fall. While we were there was discussion about possible Little League involvement. It was mentioned to me that volunteer help gets you just so far, but then when you have to go out and have a professional put up fences and backstops and all that stuff, you're probably looking at not only the higher cost, but the term prevailing wages was used. And the statement was made by one of the people there associated with Little League, that puts it, and no pun intended, in a different ballpark in terms of paying for it. So we have to face that problem down the road. But I want people to be aware of the discussion. The backstop that had never been promoted by myself as a location for putting the donated backstop from the school. When it was mentioned that that was approved and it was available, quickly ears perked up and they wondered how big it was and so on, could that be put over there? And I just listened to the concerns. At that point, I had no idea that it was being incorporated into a grant proposal, which probably sweetens that pot a lot to get that, so.
Yeah.
I'm just mentioning the discussion on it. For what it's worth, I stopped by and I measured that backstop, and it's 3 sections, crossed, back, and up the other side, and each wing is 19.6 by 12 feet tall. So you get an idea of how big it is. When you compare that with what's online showing a Little League ball backstop, this is much bigger. And backstops come in all different shapes and sizes, and some with hoods, some with no hoods and so on. So that's something that it's out there, we get it, we want it, and it doesn't necessarily earmarked for the new ballpark. Soon after we met there, Alan was talking with me about his idea of the town purchasing a new tractor. That tractor was brought up there. It's a very formidable machine for cutting grass. It doesn't hesitate. The fact that it's diesel and run by different mechanism rather than the belts that we burn up when we use our homeowner specials, it does a very adequate job. So not only was it available to cut the grass there, but Alan claims that he can use it extensively on other ball fields, other cemeteries, not other cemeteries, but cemeteries in general.
The rec trail, he said it might come handy on.
Yes, in fact, I think he may have done some of the skirting of that also. There's also a lift in the front, a bucket where he can be able to pick up the benches, put them where he wants them, locate them. So it sounds like we're not only moving with that ball field, but we're moving in the right direction in terms of the equipment needed to maintain that. Currently, we have a combination of staff people cutting the grass and volunteer. Alan's totally in control of when that lawnmower goes out and who uses it. There was a request recently about a willingness to go out and maybe bale the second cutting of grass, and I responded by saying that we don't plan to do any more baling, we're gonna be cutting the grass to make the turf. I talked with Alan today, and he's talking about the feasibility of later this week going up and cutting it again. And the goal is to keep that grass cut short, and make it thicken, and get a turf out there. Fill in the holes, pick up the rocks, get some volunteer help maybe to begin to massage the infields, and keep in communication with the cameraman here, Kelvin, as well as the baseball people to get the park in the right direction. Any questions about it?
No?
I think it's coming, but it's gonna take a lot of time. Whether they're playing there next year or not, I don't know, but we'll have a nice lawn out there. So.
Well, the soccer fields could start.
Yes, the plan that James Mosier put together shows two ball fields, a very adequate parking lot, and a soccer field down at the east end of the field. Other ideas have been suggested as to what might be included out there, but nothing's been proposed in writing yet in the paper yet.
And last fall, when we did the budget for this year, we
Yep.
included money for that, possible buying a heavy-duty lawnmower, tractor,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
And we found that this is roughly a 25 horse tractor. with a small bucket in the front and a 5-foot lawnmower. And it was well within what we had budgeted. Okay.
And Alan went on to point out that the wheels they put on that, at his request, were lower, wider, so
Yes.
it doesn't chew up the trail.
Yes. It's a beautiful little tractor, there's no doubt about that, and well needed, and will be well used,
Yes,
not just for the park. Okay.
that's it.
Anybody else have anything to bring before the board? If not, I do need an executive session to discuss a contract.
I'll move within the executive session.
Okay? Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll say.
No.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried? Thank you.